Riders course is open for walking. Seating 777 International Welcome Stae class presented by North Star course is available for walking. North Star course is available on number visits specializing in breeding, young horse development, and competition at the highest level of shipping. World-class facilities in East Aurora, New York, and Longines, Florida. I'd like to welcome all of you here to the 2020 National Horse Show, 140-year competition for the National Horse Show event. North Star are proud sponsors, and we all are proud sponsors throughout the competition meeting, whether it's the hunter, the equitation, or the jumper divisions.
will be fence number 1 on the evening. Now, very big combination, or very big fences on the evening here. This one's set at a meter 38, meter 35. Meter 38, that is, and they're going to be making their way around after fence number 1. They'll make their way around away from home and then back down toward home. The Taylor Harris vertical here is going to be fence number 2. We'll go ahead and walk this distance from fence number 2 on down to fence number 3, that Riddle Oxer. And for those of you, of course, maybe somewhat unfamiliar with the sport, we'll go ahead and follow these riders who are currently making their plan right now. There'll be a little bit of a landing, about 6 feet on the back side of the fence here, and then of course we'll start our strides from there. 2, 4, 7. So we got about 7 strides here, I believe, between fence number 2 and number 3. Root and Riddle Oxer number 3 going down toward home, and then they'll go outside there and up the diagonal. That's over the very airy vertical that you see there with the gold horsehead wings. That's going to be a very easy fence to knock down. You'll notice that the rails that are on top of that are very narrow, they're light, they're airy. The horses are going to be kind of looking through that on their way up to fence number 5. 5A and B, of course, the first combination on the course, as you can see, with the green, yellow, and white rails there. And then around to the outside as they come down toward home, those other gold horsehead oxer there will be fence number 6. The second combination, 7A and 7B, that's a vertical to vertical. They'll come back around after that to fence number 8. And that, of course, is our Longines FEI jumping World Cup fence that is, of course, synonymous with the North American League that we are in the heat of right now, coming up on Saturday night. Of course, another qualifier for those World Cup finals that will be happening next year. They'll be making the turn to another Longines Oxer. You can see the water tray, or Liverpool, if you will, just beneath the signature Longines fence. Straight ahead to the horse flight vertical there, number 10, and then down the outside we've got a third combination on the course of the purple and white rails, vertical coming in, oxer coming out at 11A and 11B, straight line in front of the trophy area here that you can see now. Shane Sweetnam is walking, and that'll be on the way to fence number 12, and after they do that, of course, they'll go through that finish line, and we'll have that time allowed coming up for you here very shortly with Max von Zimmerman in the booth, giving you a little bit more information on the details of not only that time allowed, but also the scoring that'll be happening here this evening. But once again, we'll be getting underway with that first horse coming up at 8 o'clock. We have a full slate of competitors here tonight. The USA, Ireland, we've got Austria, Lebanon, Great Britain, Colombia, Israel, Egypt. Again, a truly international cast. We actually had 10 countries represented in our first event of the evening, and we're going to continue on with that full international field here as we get into the welcome this evening. And there's going to be a lot of prize money on the line, trophies, the honor of being a welcome stake winner. Remember, this is a 140-year tradition that began at Madison Square Garden there in the showplace to the world, New York City, back in 1883. So we are a long time on from the original event. And of course, it moved around just a little bit after it departed from Madison Square Garden there in 2001, now finding a home in Lexington, Kentucky, just over 10 years ago. And we're proud to have it right here in the heart of horse country in the Bluegrass State. So that's an idea of the course tonight. Again, more details coming to you here in just a bit as we turn things back over again to my co-commentator in the booth, Mr. Max von Zimmerman, making his debut this year here at the National Horse Show.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Such a pleasure to be with you here as a truly international field, as you mentioned, 10 countries represented. Also tonight, the Walter M. Devereaux Memorial Trophy to be given away this evening. And, of course, the winner's share the $77,300 welcome stake class. We do anticipate a few clean rides. Of course, this is a return jump-off format, as the clean rides or anyone tied for the lead at the end of the 26 starters will return for that jump-off phase at the end of round number 1. We anticipate a wonderful class tonight. Of course, they need to make their way around the course. This is a qualifying event for Saturday evening's World Cup qualifier, leg number 3. Of 8 shows that will hold World Cup qualifying events on their way to Riyadh in 2024 for the World Cup finals. We'll be back with more information here, as well as just a few minutes remaining, riders. 5-minute call To wrap up your walks, please, tonight, 5 minutes remaining on your walks. Once again, riders, let's start finishing up those walks. Looks like we're finished out there. We'll be bringing the track to work in with an 8 o'clock start time. For the top of the order, 26 starters to see. And tonight's $77,300 international welcome stake. .390 meters here, 67 seconds, given time allowed for our National Horse Show's welcome stake. Proudly presented by North Star this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to join us on Friday night for the social hour sponsored by Equestrian Gardens in the official Riders Lounge on the main concourse from 4 to 5 p.m. I'd like to thank that sponsorship of Equestrian Gardens. Saturday evening, of course, November 4th, brings the Barn Night announcements from 6 to 10 p.m. Dress in your best John Deere themed apparel for a chance to win the following. Witness a $226,000 CSI 4-star Longines World Cup event. A first-place finish will get a John Deere zero-turn mower, Second place finisher, a human touch massage chair. And third place, a wheelbarrow full of prizes from Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation. And then come on by on our final competition day, November 5th. Stop by the Riders Lounge, located in the main concourse, for the McClay Lunch, sponsored by Storybrooke Farm. And the Palm Beach International Academy Study Hall, open to all students, located in the front entrance of the concourse.
Check, check. 1, 2. Kim?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
both of you now.
I think her knob was just all the way down, so we just turned it up a little bit. So, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gearing up for our welcome stay coming up here in just a few minutes. As you can see, we got some tractor work underway right now in preparation for the first of our entries here tonight. And 27 will be competing. The competition, of course, running in 2 rounds. That is if we have a qualifier for a round 2 jump off. The course beginning with Caroline Mahwini and Dance de Buisson Z first up. They're from the USA. Ireland's Connor Swale and Castorano. Currently 15th in the world is Connor. He's going to be second. Matthew Williams of Australia with Valdez Z third. Elise Oken fourth with Saratoga. We'll have Kelly Cruciati fifth with Gideon and Sabine Cooper with Nazarene van de Exelhove sixth. Those are, of course, 3 riders for the U.S. Another top-ranked rider out of Ireland, Daniel Coyle and Legacy 7th. Katie Dinan of the U.S. coming fresh off of a World Cup qualifier win in Washington just a week ago as Dijon Terdorn Z 8th. Peter Petschenig of Austria with Annabelle Van Het Postwitz will be 9th, and Aaron Vale and Carissimo 25 will be 10th. So we're going to tune in now to our pregame activities and be ready to see the first horse at 8 o'clock.
Our officials this evening are President Mr. David Disler, ground jury members Ralph Alfano III and Kelly Douglas, and our foreign judge, Maria Arambide. Of course, Alan Wade and Steve Stevens are our course designers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce you now to the red carpet and a special guest for tonight's national anthem singer, Samantha Gady. Samantha is a coloratura soprano from the small town of Summersville, West Virginia. She's currently in her first semester of the Masters of Music in Voice Performance with Professor Cynthia Lawrence at the University of Kentucky. Samantha's career goal is to one day perform opera internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we have tonight's singer, Samantha Gady.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Tonight's national anthem singer, Samantha Gady. North Star Sport Horses is a family-owned and operated business specializing in breeding, young horse development, and competition at the highest level of show jumping, with world-class facilities in East Aurora, New York, and Wellington, Florida, proud sponsor of tonight's $77,300 International Welcome Stake Class. Its fences numbered 1 through 12 in round number 1, with the time allowed given by our course designers, 67 seconds. Trying to go clear and, of course, qualify for Saturday evening's performance, and that's where those points come into play. Trying to qualify for Riyadh in the 2024 World Cup Finals. 26 starters to compete tonight with 10 countries represented. Top of the order at the gate.
All right, so opening ceremony is complete here at the National Horse Show. And, of course, this is a event that is known for pomp and circumstance, top-level competition, international riders galore on both the hunter and jumper fronts. And Kim Prince, myself, Brian Lookabill, here on the broadcast with you this evening as we're about to welcome in Caroline Mawhinney. And she's going to join us with Dance du Buisson Z, number 399. This will be the top of the order, looking for a grand total of 27 showing here this evening. And as we mentioned, the course beginning over fence number 1, wrapping up at fence number 12. And the time allowed in that first round, 67 seconds. Alan Wade, Steve Stevens handling the course design here. And they'll have 3 combinations in the course. That will include 5AB, 7AB, and 11AB on the way to that finish line over the teal and black and white striped vertical there to finish things out. So Caroline Mawhinney, as we saw earlier on in the 2-phase event, now going for the biggest prize money of the day here, $77,300 at stake here. And, of course, they also have the Walter B. Devereaux Memorial Challenge Trophy coming up. She is here again aboard this 12-year-old Zanger Saddamere by Dutch Capital Z, Dance du Buisson Z, out of Wellington. Kim, I don't know if you had a chance to look out there at the course and make any decisions or talk to any of the riders about their thoughts on things, but I know Alan and Steve both have a reputation for challenging courses, though we're early in the week, so it's likely they're going to make this somewhat welcoming as well.
Well, they are great course designers, but both of them very tough in their own right. And this is a young rider, Caroline. She's only 18 and going first in this big competition. It's pretty exciting. She's really had a nice round. She had a couple down, but
well, the A's have it here, unfortunately, around the arena. It's 5A and 11A, both coming down 68.15 first rider reference. Given time allowed 67 seconds here on the clock.
You can see the replay into that first combination, just a little bit off it. The horse had the front rail.
All right, so she has, as we finish things up here in our first event, that was Caroline Mawhinney, knockdown and time combining for some penalties. We'll see what the judges think about a potential adjustment to the time allowed. Remember, it's a 67-second time allowed here. And next to go, Connor Swale. Connor, of course, 15th in the Longines World Rankings currently. He's here aboard Mountain Farms entry Castorano. This is a 10-year-old Holsteiner gelding by Castellan 3. It's number 404. Connor Swale with quite the record of achievements throughout the course of his career, both as an individual and, of course, as a representative of Ireland. World Cup finals, of course, back in 2022, where he finished up as individual 8th. He's had quite a few wins this season as well. One of his most recent coming there in Tryon, North Carolina. He was the runner-up, of course, last week in a false converted event at the Washington International, and also 3rd aboard Castorano in the accumulator class.
Connor's off to a great start. And you can see the materials are very delicate. They really don't take much of a rub to fall.
Yeah, especially, that very airy fence number 4 there with the golden black horsehead vertical. That's set at 1.50 meters in height. They're 8-foot rails, which makes them very light. You just touch those, and they're going to roll out of the top.
Oh, just clip the back rail.
Yeah, second fence of that final combination coming down. He's also going to just exceed that time by the narrowest of margins, 67.01. So he will have a fault on the clock in addition to the 4 jumping for the knockdown. So that'll be a 5-fault total for Connor and Castorano. Moving right along here, we've got now our 3rd entry coming to us in this International Welcome Stake presented by North Star. And the 3rd entry, Matthew Williams, listed as our rider here. He's a rider representing Australia. And aboard Skyline Sport Horses entry, Valdez Z, number 396, a 10-year-old Zangerside gelding by Vigo Darsois, number 396. 68 and 67 and change the times we've seen so far here. And of course, Caroline Mawhinney with the 2 knockdowns along with the 2 ticks over the time has 10 faults. Connor Swale so far with Castorano has just the 5 faults. I feel fairly confident we're going to see some clears tonight, and it's going to move on to a jump off. Not a guarantee, but you'd think as you look down the field here that that's bound to happen.
Yeah, this is a good, strong field. Someone will conquer this course, although not Matt tonight, having that front rail.
Yeah, fence number 6 coming down there, the 1.50 square oxer on the outside line.
He's trying to be very tidy on the ends, stay within that time allowed. We'll see what they say after he finishes on keeping the time or not.
Matt Williams, of course, 3-time Olympic rider for his native Australia in 2008, 12, and 16. So consecutive starts for his home country. And he's going to wrap up on the single knockdown as well as being 3 commenced seconds over that original time allowed. So that would give him 7 faults under the original time. But let's see what, again, as you mentioned, the judges have to say about that time and whether or not we're going to be making any adjustments. All right, so it looks like we will be making a time allowed adjustment there. 69 seconds will be that adjusted time allowed, and that's how Matt gets the 7 total faults. That, of course, means that Connor Swale ends up inside of the time allowed, as does Caroline Mawhinney. So they both just have their jumping faults, 4 and 8, respectively. And now we're on to Saratoga and Elise Oken. Elise Oken, the Charlotte, North Carolina native. High Hopes Farm entry is a 11-year-old Holsteiner mare by Chin Champ. And we mentioned earlier on in the two-phase event that Elise Oken, of course, has had quite a bit of international experience. And a rider we've got to watch throughout the years, eventually traveling far and wide to continue to gain that experience and quality. Fortunately, right in the middle of the course there, she's got the front rail of the Oxer and the top rail of that vertical combination number 5 coming down. So she's on 8 faults right now.
This horse is really jumping a beautiful round. That early line for the 5AB is proving to be quite the test. Just touches the front rail, that second combination, actually the third. And the last jump as well.
Yes,
she lost his mouth a little bit.
She'll finish up on 16 jumping faults. She gets a 68.27 time on the clock here. That'll be just a fraction inside the 69 allowed.
Number 4 is such a delicate jump to get away and all the way up to close up the distance into the combination.
Yeah, it's a good example of how one jump relates so much to the other. As you prepare to deal with that very delicate number 4, you got to get up that line properly to overtake fence number 5A. And sometimes it's difficult to put all of those together, especially when you're coming out of a delicate line like that and going into a combination. Here we go with Kelly Cruciati Vanderveen and Serenity Farms Gideon. Here's a 9-year-old Zangerside gelding by Super Trooper Dines. Another of our Tryon winners this year. She's also taken top honors in Saugerties 4-star competition back in September.
She was bolder at 4, and it was easier to settle down at the yellow combination. She had good success there.
She's working on a rail so far at number 2 and number 6. So holding 8 as she rounds the bend just past the midway point in the course. She was a World Cup qualifier, went to the finals a couple of years back in 2019 when they took place in Gothenburg.
That last line gets very steady.
All right, she'll get 8 on the course there and 2 on the clock as she wraps up at a 70.72 time. I told you earlier on that we were bound to have a jump off tonight, but with each passing round, of course, that becomes somewhat less likely. I still have faith that it's going to happen as we take a look back at the replay for Kelly. And, of course, one of the rails that came down there at fence number 6, all told, she just had the 2 knockdowns and 2 ticks over that time allowed of 69 seconds. Lexington, Kentucky is the home base of our next rider. It's Sabine Cooper. She's here with Cormandy Farms entry Nazarene van de Exelhove, a 10-year-old Belgian mare by Emerald. Must be kind of nice to be able to show here in Lexington throughout the rest of the year. This is really a fantastic facility, and if you get an opportunity to compete in Alltech Arena or anywhere here on the grounds, it's got to give you a little bit of a leg up over the rest of the competition that might be traveling elsewhere throughout the season. Sabine Cooper, of course, has that opportunity based here in the Bluegrass State.
And she's taking her time on the turns, so I think she's going to have a tough time staying within the time allowed still. Ooh, a little long going in there. Good job through the double verticals. Horse diving a little bit to the corner there over the horse flight and having that one down.
Sabine Cooper there with the Nazarene van de Exelhove with a 6th place ranking after the penalties there for knockdowns. And as you mentioned, Kim, also faults on the clock. 75-33 is going to get her home late. So, again, she'll finish up on a 19 fault total. Moving along now, we have Nazarene Venda Axelhova heading out, and Daniel Coyle and Legacy heading in. Here is, again, the Ariel Grange entry out of Cheltenham, Ontario. Legacy, a 13-year-old Zangersider mare by Chippendale Z.
This is one of that great combination. They know each other well. They're ready to step in, be competitive.
Yeah, Legacy, a winner for Daniel a couple of times this year, including in a Nations Cup outing last month at Spruce Meadows. Also took a top effort in a 5-star event at the Major League Show Jumping Tour in Greenwich, Connecticut earlier in October. So as you said, a trusted combination. And Daniel has actually had many other wins over the past couple of years with this mount. For Ariel Grange, great Canadian owner who has supported several a top-level international rider. Let's see if he can be the first one to find that successful, clear formula.
Well, he's definitely on the right track for the time allowed. He's not wasting any time in the going wide in the turns. Great job getting up to that combination. That's proving to be very difficult.
Maybe we could take a look back at that after the round here to figure out the issue. Looked like he cut in a little bit coming out of that combination, trying to save a little bit of time on the way over to fence number 6.
It's really looked the same for several people that have had it down. Oh, and again, in the combination there.
Yeah, so number 11A also dropping, and number 12. So all told, a 12-fault score. 65-27 is where the clock will stop. So no trouble as far as the pace is concerned. Some of those tighter turns, of course, making a big difference for him. And here he comes around the bend, as we mentioned, to fence number 6.
You also wonder if that gold plank that draws their eye down. Interesting, they all seem to have it the same way.
He got a little lucky coming out of that combination as well. Looked like they... well, we got Katie Dinan coming up next. Grant Road Partners entry. Dijon Tierdorn Z will be the entry. And still at the 8th entry, no clears up to now here in our $77,300 international welcome stake during our FEI events here in the National Horse Show in Lexington, Kentucky. Grant Road Partners Dijon Tierdorn Z is a 12-year-old Zangersider gelding by Diamant de Semely.
Well, she got a good one. Then you see she could be settling at the yellow. See how she handles the front rail now that we know that it's the bogey. Fantastic.
Nice wide turn around defense number 6 and a nice approach there to get right to the base properly. Wow.
Ooh, lucky rub there.
Yeah.
That
The
might be all she
Longines Oxer.
needs.
I'm sure you saw rock, and I honestly thought it was going to drop there. But, yeah, luck plays a role sometimes as well, doesn't it?
It sure does. What a beautiful round. Good for her.
There you go. Yeah, fresh off of a World Cup qualifier victory last week is Katie Dynan. Tonight, her successful ride comes aboard Dijon Terdern Z. And so she is the trailblazer here in our welcome class and will hold the lead right now.
Wow, that was as close as you can get without it falling.
Right. And, you know, those pinstripe rails at the Longines Oxer there certainly accent that nicely, really show off the rocking front and back and just how lucky she was. She'll be good to go. We'll see whether anyone else can join her on the clear list as Peter Pechenik comes up next. He is a Collinsville, Texas-based rider representing Austria. And he's here tonight aboard Ennebil Venhed Postwis. This is a 14-year-old Royal Dutch Warm Blood mare by Numero Uno. We've seen now 8 entries so far. Actually 9th on course now, so we are right on that 1/3 point, a third of the way through the order. Moved up, and I think he had to take back just at the last second to clear 5A, and it almost came down anyway.
But it didn't. Now he's doing his part, giving her a good ride. Takes teamwork. She has her own style, but it's working. Oh, what a shame.
Would have loved to have seen 2 in a row here clear. Peter Pechenik making haste to the finish line. His 4-fault effort wrapping up in a time of 66.67, so at least he will have a quick 4-faulter if he can't be clear, and so he'll sit second right now.
She jumped that so well.
Yeah, great jumper. As I said, they got a little lucky, I think, on their way into that first or that combination 5A.
Yeah.
And then the luck ran out a little bit when they got around to fence number 11A with the rail dropping there. Onward now to number 373. Aaron Vale comes to us. His entry is owned by Debbie Smith, Beverly Hills, Florida. Aaron just outside of Ocala there in Williston. And he's going to be aboard Carissimo 25, the 10-year-old Holsteiner gelding by Cascadello. Once again, Carissimo 25. Aaron also doing nicely there at the Washington International held in Upper Marlboro last week. A couple of top 6 ribbons, including an accumulator and a false converted event. Those came aboard elusive.
You can see him working all the way up to it. Held him off. B. This horse is being very attentive to the rails. Let's see if he can get over this in. Seems to be difficult.
Yeah, it was earlier on fence 6 that was sort of shaping up to be a bogey.
Out.
Yeah, and then the A element has been a problem, but right now Aaron has that rail down on the front side of the Oxer there coming into fence number 11B. So his score 4 faults. As you'd always expect from Aaron, he also was pretty quick to the finish line. We'll take another look.
Oh, he rode so beautifully. What a shame.
Maybe left a little long coming in there, which also set him up maybe long at the Oxer coming out of that combination. But good effort by Carissimo, and it'll just be the 4 faults there in a time of 66.72. So he's just a fraction behind Peter Pachenik. Aaron right now in third place. Jad Dana next to go, a recent winner in Tryon, North Carolina, one of the winning round classes about halfway through October. Also a couple of top 10 placings last week at Washington. Jad's riding Caro W. Caro W is an 11-year-old Holsteiner gelding by Castellan 2. Aboard this one for Peter Howard and Laura Sidro out of Fairfield, Connecticut.
I love watching Jad ride. He's so dedicated, such a hard worker, very competitive. You could just see the enthusiasm in him. Oh, looking great. Touched it, but it stayed up. Oh.
Yeah, it looked a little bit hairy there as well coming into combination number 7.
I really don't even want to speak for fear of jinxing him.
You know, what I'm surprised about, Kim, is that we haven't seen number 10 come down. That's a very, very light-looking plank atop the flat cups there at the horse flight fence.
Yeah.
Just the one time there, but I sort of thought we'd have it a little bit more than that.
Yay!
All right, well now.
Awesome job, Jad.
That might be the trick, not to jinx him. Talk about knockdowns, right? Good to go there, and we've got a second one clear, and that means a jump off will be necessary. Let's take one more look as they come into 7A. Just slithering over both of the verticals there.
Doesn't matter how, as long as you make it.
Right, this isn't a style event. This is all about the dollars and cents, if you will. The numbers, and the numbers tell the tale with no faults. Katie Dinan and Jad Dana will be the 2 so far qualified for the jump off. I like being right, Kim, especially when it comes to a tiebreaker.
Absolutely.
Of course, you wouldn't think any less. Of course, at the beginning here, we talked about the fact that there was likely to be a jump off. But you get a little bit worried as you continue making your way through, and it takes until the 11th horse to see a penalty free. Nonetheless, we do have a tie for first. We will be coming back for that jump off round, and we'll see whether or not Lorcan Gallagher can be a part of it now. He's here aboard Lost Lake Farm LLC's entry out of Snohomish, Washington. Lorcan based in Wellington, Florida. And this will be 10-year-old Westphalian gelding Copycat.
Lorcan just gave you all a riding lesson. The horse was not wanting to go into the ring, not wanting to go off the lead to number 1. He calmly just turned around, turned him into the wall, came off the other lead. Didn't make a big deal of it.
Copycat, a partner of Lorcan since mid-2022 when they made their debut together in the international field. Their most recent outing together produced a third-place result here in Kentucky during the October shows, part of that Split Rock Series.
Had a hard rub at A, but it stayed up. And another one.
Good go there. He's just inside the 69-second time allowed, and that means he's going to be a qualifier indeed. 3 entries now bound for the speed effort tonight in our Welcome State.
And you can see he bounced it, but it stayed in.
Well, Kamagodik wrapped up a clear 2-phase effort earlier on here tonight. She was scheduled to go next. Actually, it looks like we'll have Jessica Mendoza coming to us next. Jessica Mendoza of Great Britain riding ICAP CLZ, 11-year-old Zanger-sided gelding by I Am Special Demuse.
Jess is the trainer of Caroline Mawini, who went first. So she has several hots on tonight. Got away with a rub at 5A. Oh my goodness, knocked the flag off, but not the rail down. This horse isn't as easy to keep on the track as she would like it to be.
She seems to be just having a little bit of struggles doing so. It's kind of funny, though. Sometimes you'll see a horse that looks difficult, and you'll find out maybe not quite as difficult as you think. And here it is a successful round in 66 and change. So we have a fourth one qualified now, and it is confirmed, of course, that Kavagodik is a scratch. So that's the only one we've lost out of the order here tonight. We will have 13 more showing in round one before we see that jump off. Mark Blumen coming to us next. Mark's here representing Columbia. He's aboard the Over the Top Stables LLC entry out of Lake Ronkonkoma, New York. Here aboard Ubeluk, 11-year-old Mecklenburg gelding by Ubiko.
A game little horse, great expression. Really responded when Mark asked him to get up to that combination and just flew right up there. Very well done.
I like your point made about being such a game horse, and yeah, you really saw it up that line from 4 to 5A.
The small horse really wraps himself around the jumps.
Coming home with just one jump left. Will they make it?
Oh, beautiful round.
Nice correction there right at the last fence. And as you mentioned, the horse responds nicely to the command and gives Mark a clear ride. Ubeluk and Mark Blumen also on the good list. Again, it took us 8 rounds to see a clear, 11 rounds to see a jump-off guarantee, but now they're starting to stack up tonight. So far, we've got 5 entries on the list. And ultimately, Cooley is scheduled to come up next here, and that's a Charlie Jane ride out of Elgin, Illinois. So 381 coming to us, and that is the 9-year-old Irish Sport Horse gelding by Obos Quality. Charlie and Nicole LLC entry out of Wellington. Charlie didn't have exactly the week he was looking for last week in Washington. So trying to shake that off as he comes to us here at the National Horse Show.
Well, he too is wearing a lot of hats. He's a rider. He's also helping his wife Nicole, who's showing in the junior amateur class, and they have their son here.
Right.
So they're busy.
Very hands-on parents
yes,
as well.
Absolutely.
Happened to notice earlier on while they were preparing to show in that amateur competition.
They were also feeding him dinner. Exactly.
Yes. And friend and fellow rider Derek Braun.
And Michelle Braun had to step in.
And Michelle, yeah, both playing a role there to be sort of an aunt and uncle. Down at 4 and 5B. So far he's working on 8.
I think once this partnership gets to know each other a little better, we'll see some good things. It's hard indoors. Once one thing goes wrong, it's kind of like dominoes.
Yeah, you would think a lot of times as well that you could have a horse that maybe their confidence gets dropped a little bit when something like that happens, right?
Yeah, it just indoors that happens. It's a young horse, only 9.
Well, they'll work their way back up surely in the future. Tonight, unfortunately, they're going to finish on a total of 32. Charlie will make his way out from the ring with ultimately Cooley. Daniel Blumen, again, rider representing Israel, coming to us next. He is here aboard Gemma W. Over the Top Stables LLC entry out of Lake Ronkonkoma, New York. Daniel calls his home base Davie, Florida. This is a 12-year-old Royal de Tourneblood mare by Louis Dum. And he has just had a slew of wins over recent years.
Yeah, this is a great horse. Good combination. She looks very comfortable here. Here's the first one that actually looked like they had plenty of room at that Oxer.
We talking about fence number 6
Yeah.
there, Kim? Of course, as we mentioned during their start here in the 2-phase event, Daniel, the winner last year of the World Cup qualifier here at the National Horse Show. Well, they're going to finish out the night with a 4, fence number 11A, dropping in a time of 64.64. So right now they go into 6th place. They become the fastest of the 4 falters. And that means they were actually making haste early on in the course. Sometimes you'll see a fast 4 falter produced from somebody who had an earlier 4 falter because they were able to sort of step on the pedal there and go for the fast 4. In this case, they were just quick all the way around because that rail came late in their round. Next we go to Niall Nassar for Egypt, riding Evergate Stables entry. Here is Igor van de Widemore, number 368.
Yet another great combination. Lots of experience together, lots of wins.
Igor, 15-year-old Belgian gelding by Cooper van de Heffink.
Now such a tall man, but such a soft, good rider. Fortunately got called out at 5A again.
Hey, Kim, what's the winning formula coming up that line from fence number 4 to fence number 5A?
Well, if you can catch 4 with enough momentum and space that you're not going to touch it, if you could just be settling at 5A, it's a much better approach than still hustling to close it up.
All right, here we come down the final line, and just the 4 faults as they get to the finish. Time 66.70, and that means an 8th place ranking so far here for Niall and Igor van de Widemore. 66.70.
I can see him coming up. He got there in plenty of time. Just didn't quite listen when Niall asked him to settle.
C-Top Blue, now the Andrew Bourne's ride coming up next. Another of our riders for Ireland. Andrew comes to us out of his base in Wellington, Florida. 12-year-old Irish sport horse gelding by Chaco Blue is the mount.
We don't have very many shows that are indoors. So remember, these horses are coming from outdoors straight in.
Yeah, this season for Andrew Bournes has been on this horse anyway, C-Top Blue, Spruce Meadows, Thunderbird, Traverse City, Michigan, Tryon, every one of those events taking place at an outdoor venue. This time of the year is when they got to figure it out, obviously. As the weather turns, we've always had the tradition of having the indoor championship season.
See how he handles this combination. It's going a little bit left. Another good adjustment on Andrew's part. That was a shame.
Yeah, the early four there at fence number 6, and a time of 65.44 puts him into 7th place. 4 faults. And it'll be Shane Sweetenham coming up next, another rider for Ireland. As we watch the replay from Andrew Bourne's round,
it's hard to square up to that jump. You're trying to get across for the time allowed, and they kind of curve onto it.
Yeah, he did leave it a little bit of an angle there on the approach to fence number 6, and that fence set at 1.50 m square. And we'll move on again. Shane Sweetenham coming up next, and he's here aboard Otis Blue, a 9-year-old Belgian gelding by Jaguar van Pemel, entry of VoQuest LLC. During that 2 phase earlier on, we talked about Shane's wins on several different horses throughout the season.
Multiple, I think, is the better word.
Many
of them are gray.
He's just a regular top contestant, of course. Otis Blue has had a couple of top 6 placings, though a very new ride to Shane. Just picked up the start together over the last couple of months.
That was so well done. Shane didn't panic when the horse was around for so well. He just gently urged him up the line. And that big stride caught up to him at A of the verticals. Again, you can see so much jump, so powerful behind. Gets down the lines a bit too early.
Got careful there at that Oxer, though. Tapped the rail and looked like really
Pulled
tucked
away.
nicely, yeah, to try to stay careful and clean. Of course, they had the earlier rails there, so they'll finish on a 9-fault score. Knockdowns at 2 locations, plus the tick over the time there in a 69.36 effort. So far, we've got Katie Dinan, Jad Dana, Lorcan Gallagher, Jessica Mendoza, and Mark Blumen on the good list. It's truly an international cast. 5 clear riders representing 5 different nations. See if we can get another rider from the U.S. to join that group now. Here is Will Simpson. Again, moved to Ocala last year. That's really become a true hotspot. It's always been a major horse hotspot, from the thoroughbreds to show jumpers, but it's really picked up speed over the last couple of years with the establishment of those new facilities, and it really was a magnet for people like Will Simpson to move there. Chaco P is the 14-year-old Mecklenburg gelding by Chaco Blue, and perhaps the horse that you'd most connect with Will Simpson's success.
As of late.
Will
Simpson had a lot of success.
Recent competition, of course. Now, Will Simpson's had quite a bit of success on several different mounts, but this has sort of been a trusted mount for him over the last several years. Rail down there at the Rudin Riddle Oxer front side, unfortunately for them, so they're carrying 4 right now. We'll see what they can do as far as time is concerned, whether or not they can make it into the ribbons with a fast 4.
letting that turn a little bit. Trying to keep in the time allowed, but that caught that rail.
So he finishes up with a total of 5. Time is 66 point, excuse me, a total of 26, that is. 66.69 is the score.
See, it really shifted left, that jump they had down the middle.
Yeah, rail's actually at 2 locations there. I apologize. 8 falls score for Will, and his time 66.69. All right, so next we go to Margie Goldstein-Engel here aboard Dekas, number 387. Dekas is her 14-year-old Rhinelander gelding by Diorado. Gladwin's partners entry out of Wellington.
Dekas is always just coming off that clean round in the World Cup qualifier at Washington last Saturday.
Yeah, it was the top 6 mount there. Also a top 3 contestant in meter 50 action in the Major League Show Jumping Tour that happened in Greenwich, Connecticut early last month.
He jumped 4, 5A and B, as well as any horse out here. Wow. He's in good form. Got to get him back. Oh, yeah. All right. Take your time, Margie. Yeah, she's staying out.
Very nice approach to that combination, and the final fence as she takes back just a bit on the approach, and wow. You know, you said take your time, but that was a little risky because 68.63 is where that clock stopped. Now, she did the exact right thing, saving her speed for where it's needed in round 2. But, yeah, she came close. Less than half a second away from the 69-second margin there. But she's good to go. And we have now 6 entries that will be qualified for the return. Margie joins them, and that's now the 2nd U.S. rider on the good list this evening. Renee Detmer coming up next out of Germany. Here with Corsica. This is the Live Oak Plantation entry, a 10-year-old Holsteiner mare by Connor. Renee, another of those riders based out of Wellington.
And one of like 3 or 4 that have come off the left lead to number 1. He's very prompt the way he lands and gets away from the jump. You notice he spends no time on the backside. Great ride in, nice and square.
And Corsica very careful as well. Mentioned earlier on that Renee had 2 wins last week. One of them came aboard Corsica there in Washington.
Okay, won both FEI classes in one day.
All right, down the outside line with time to spare. Will we have a German rider on that list? Yes, indeed.
And rub-free. I don't think she touched anything.
Careful all the way around and faultless for Corsica. Nicely done there by Renee Detmer. So that adds yet another flag to the list of international qualifiers here. We've got 2 for the U.S., 1 for Lebanon. We also have Ireland, Great Britain, Colombia, and again now Germany, all coming back to fight for the winner's share of our welcome stake money here this evening. Devin Ryan, our U.S. rider, showing next. Devin's aboard the LL Show Jumpers entry. Eddie Blue, a 14-year-old Royal Dutch Horn Blood gelding by BDL Ziraco Blue. Entry number 394, one of our 4 remaining here in the first round.
Devin and Eddie Blue also a great result at Washington in the World Cup qualifier, third. This horse can jump just as easily indoors as outdoors. It's got a big stride. Devin's often able to leave out even indoors. And there's where that big stride was just so nice to have.
Settled on the way into fence number 6 there and stays clean through that outside line.
See, he does not want a time fault. He just spun around the Longines clock. Oh, it's rocking, but it stayed up.
Still not settled yet. It looks like it's all right now. So he's home free with the horseflight fence, but one jump remaining here, number 12. And they wrap it up penalty-free. Well done by Eddie Blue and Devin Ryan. That's a streak of 3 in a row, faultless. His top 3 finisher, as you mentioned last week in that World Cup qualifier at Upper Marlboro, the Washington International Horse Show leg, and also the mount that helped the U.S. team to a gold medal a few years back in Tryon. So they have really established a great bond together over the last several years. We've got Summer Hill coming to us as the first of 3 remaining entries now. Here's another rider based in Lexington, Kentucky. Summer will ride La Belle SCF, a 12-year-old Belgian mare by Dictator van de Boslandehove. So that's going to be a U.S.-bred warm blood mount. Dictator, of course, based right next to the horse park here in Lexington, a Spy Coast farm.
This horse jumps in such beautiful style, as did Dictator.
Yeah, we saw Dictator, of course, sire of La Belle SCF with so many wins right here at the horse park before becoming a breeding stud.
Oh, just clip that one behind.
Yeah, pulled that plank off the top of the horse flight vertical there, so she's carrying 4 faults.
Very solid round.
She finishes up in 68-68. Again, with 4 faults here this evening. That's Summer Hill with La Belle SCF. By the way, at this point, to be in the top 12, if you have 4 faults, you have to be 66-70 or faster at the finish line. Well, another rider who had a World Cup qualifying win here in Lexington a few years back. We've got Brian Mogre coming to us. And he'll be joining us here aboard MTM Vive le Rêve. MTM Vive le Rêve is a 14-year-old Westphalian gelding by Ustinov.
Brian knows this horse inside and out.
It was 2019 when he led the victory pass here in Lexington in the World Cup leg. And it was aboard MTM Vive le Rêve at that point. And as you say, a horse he knows inside and out based on that long time experience together.
He's jumping a beautiful round, but Brian's really riding exactly the track he wants, placing the horse perfectly. Very solid. Great round.
So I'm
Good
getting
ride.
Vive Le Rev back in hand on the way down that final line just to say, look, we're almost there. Stay with me. And they do get to that finish penalty free. So we have yet another qualifier for short course action. There's the end of the combination. And on the landing side, you can see pulls them up and says, pay attention. We're going to get to that finish line, and we are going to get through to round 2. And they will. Simbira is the Jessica Lito entry and our last one to compete here in round 1 of the welcome. Again, at this point, we have seen qualifiers from the U.S. 3 riders, in fact, qualified. 9 total entries. 3 riders qualified from the U.S., that is, but 9 total as we include all the other nations here this evening. And Jessica Lito could be the last U.S. rider. We'll see if she can get through with Simbira. This is the 12-year-old warm blood gelding by Kalito.
She was nice and bold to number 4. Set her combination up well. And again, really took her time. Placed the horse where she wanted. At 6. Oh, the horse really trying. Double pumped a little bit over the Longines Oxer, but made it.
Yeah, kicked out to be sure on the backside of the Longines fence there.
He's really giving it his all.
We might have some time trouble here. She gets the finish, just over by 3/4 of a second. That's, not the worst news you can get, but it's got to make you say, man, are you kidding me? We were that close. 69.74 is where she'll wrap up, and she'll have a single fault on the clock as a result of that. The good news is she's still going to be in the ribbons now, 10th place, just ahead of the 4 falters by avoiding the knockdowns there. Daniel Blumen and Andrew Bournes will be in the 11th and 12th positions here. We'll take a look at the standings now. As you can see, we've got all of those qualifiers. We started things off with the first clear coming from Katie Dinan with Dijon Terdurn Z. So she's going to lead the way in our round 2 action. Jad Dana and Caro W. will be second to go. Lorcan Gallagher and Copycat third. Jessica Mendoza and ICAP CLZ fourth, and then Mark Blumen fifth. Add to that Margie Goldstein Engel, Renee Dittmer, and Devin Ryan, who went 3 in a row clear with Dicas, Corsica, and Eddie Blue, respectively. And then we also saw Brian Mogre, who earned the last spot to return with, again, the 2019 World Cup leg winner here in Lexington, MTM Vive Le Rev. So this will be the qualifiers. A 9-way tie for first place will be broken by the jump off. And that's going to be coming up here just about 10 minutes or so. So take a quick break to grab a beverage, and then we'll see you back here on the broadcast from Lexington, Kentucky, home of the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup, Lexington. You can see right now we've got the tractor work happening while the adjustment is wrapping up, and all of the crew out there on the event level taking care of the heavy lifting and hard work to prepare us for our tie-breaking round. Stay with us and we'll give you the details of that, but I figure it's a good time while we were taking a quick look at sort of not necessarily behind the scenes action, but the sort of nuts and bolts of the show here happening. And Pat Duncan, Lefty, Steve Stevens, Alan Wade, of course, our course designing combination out there. The rest of the guys who put a lot of hard work in. And it's not just here at the National Horse Show that they're doing that. Those guys tend to work every week of the year, and it just gets more and more intense as the year goes on, particularly when you get into this time of the year. And, of course, we've got the Capital Challenge, USET Talent Search Finals, Harrisburg, the Pennsylvania National Horse Show, Washington, here in Kentucky for the National Horse Show. Some folks even going on up to Toronto. There's just so much. And, again, the intensity just builds and builds and builds until this part of the season. And, of course, following this, it used to be that everybody would sort of take some time off after indoors. That's not really the way it is now, because everybody sort of heads down to Florida. They may take a little bit of time for holidays, of course, with Thanksgiving and then Christmas coming up. But the season continues on. It's a little bit of a lull after these indoors are wrapped up, but I can guarantee you those guys stay very, very busy and do a lot of hard work. We wouldn't be able to have these shows without them. So just take an opportunity to say thanks to all of the hard-working crew out there, the guys who do so much work that often goes unrecognized. And right now we're getting ready for our jump-off return. So, again, I'm Brian Lookabill. Kim Prince is with us. And we'll talk quickly about the jump-off route that's been designed here by Alan Wade and Steve Stevens. The course is going to begin going away from home over fence number 14. That's your Rudin Riddle Oxer. That was originally coming home as fence number 3 in round 1. And as we watch Katie Dinan preparing to try to blaze the trail in the jump-off here, it'll be going away in the jump-off. 14, the first fence. Then they go up to the Taylor Harris vertical. That's also a fence that's been reversed for use here in the tiebreaker, and that's number 15 going away. Then they'll circle around to what was a bit of a bogey combination in round 1, 11A and B. a left-hand rollback back to fence number 5B, a right-hand turn to the outside, and down the outside line they'll show over 5B, then 6 and 7B coming down that outside line. At least they won't have to deal with that as a combination this time around. On the landing side of 6, they'll just gallop on down to the vertical, but try to keep them tidy to get up and over that vertical. And again, Dijon Teardorn Z, Katie Dinan's ride, will show the way. Kim, as you look at that course, anything you could point out as maybe a trouble spot for these riders tonight?
Well, I think 11A and B was so hard to clear in the first round. I think it'll prove just as hard in the jump off, but I think this sounds like a really fun jump off.
Potentially not something to worry about quite as much, considering the fact that they don't have to set up for a vertical coming out of that combination, but nonetheless the combination itself could be a problem. So let's see how things shape up here. Katie Dinan and Dijon Teardorn Z coming around the bend right to that combo, and indeed it will again strike at both elements. So far working on 8. She's got a lot of speed here, so she's going to be quick. But leaving the door,
fast horse, yeah.
Leaving the door open here with the knockdowns. And finishing up on a 30.76 time. 30.76. And with 8 faults, she sets a standard that I'm sure she's wondering how quick it'll be before someone's able to outdo that. I would imagine we're going to see some double clears here tonight. Good effort on Dijon Teardorn's part, but unfortunately they do have the penalties for the 2 knockdowns there in the combination. Rider for the USA wrapping up and heading to the outgate now, as our rider representing Lebanon, Jad Dana, will ride next with Caro W. for Peter Howard and Laura Sudreau.
Like I said in the first round, Jad's enthusiasm shines through. Trains with Leslie Howard, rides a lot like her. You know it's going to be fast. I did that so well. I went direct without having to run. It's so hard to clear A.
They hit that on a bit of an angle. I thought they were really going to try to straighten up on the way into 11A, but on the angle there, that made it more difficult. And, of course, the out as well, dropping in the process, or fence number 6 dropping there in the process as well. So
he really took a shot into number 6.
And we've got 8 faults in a time for Jad Dana of 29:30, so they will be quicker by about 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, that was really quite the angle at 6.
Yeah, both 11A and fence number 6,
yep.
They hit both of those at an angle, and it didn't pay off, unfortunately. So their score 8 faults as well, but they're a little bit quicker, so that'll be the new lead. And Lorcan Gallagher will have the opportunity to try to set a clear pace now as he comes to us aboard Copycat, his Lost Lake Farm LLC entry.
Lorcan went in, showed him that turn, hoping he remembers when he gets there. He used more of a bend so he could keep galloping.
And he goes out a little bit wider there. Hits the combination at a little bit of a straight angle, not necessarily turning in the combination. And keeps it clear to this point with 2 jumps left. Let's see if he hits this fence 6 on an angle.
Wow, nice and straight. What a shame. Just got too steady at the end.
Well, bad news is there's 4 faults. The good news is that's still, as of now anyway, the best score we've seen. So Lorcan will be the leader right now, but how long that will last, we'll find out.
He really tried to slow him down, got his front end, but couldn't follow through.
He got maybe just a little deep on the way into that vertical as well. And Lorcan exits the leader, but with 4 faults. So the door remains open now for Britain's Jessica Mendoza and ICAP CLZ. Her entry out of Wellington, Florida, her base. They're getting ever so slightly better with each round. An 8-faulter to set the standard, a slightly faster 8-faulter to take over, then a 4-faulter becomes the new front runner. Rocking the rail at number 15 does Jessica Mendoza and ICAP CLZ. They also hit the combination on the angle, but keep it up.
The horse really tried there.
Yeah, nice tidy slice at number 5B. She also gets lucky at 6. And wow, lucky again. Yeah, that rail popped up out of the cups but dropped back in. May have shifted a little bit but stayed up, and the height remains the same, meaning she has the first penalty-free jump off of the class here. Nicely done by Jessica Mendoza at ICAP CLZ. The jump crew just going to check fence number 7 there, the last one on the course, to be sure it's firmly in the cups, just as it's been for the previous competitors. And everything's good to go now for Mark Blumen. Columbia is his home country. Over the Top Stables LLC's Ubeluk is the mount. And so now we've got a clear target on the board, and he's really revving it up right from the start.
Yeah, 6-1-2. This horse is so handy and crafty. This jump off will suit it.
Yeah, nice tight turns capable here for a smaller mount, but one with a lot of heart, obviously. And as you said earlier, so game all the way around. This is a horse that just wants to win.
It was brilliant.
Wow, 27:36.
That will be hard to beat.
Wow, that knocks 3 seconds off the time. It's incredible what you can get out of such a compact package like that. Nicely done, Mark Blumen and Ubeluk. 27:36 becomes the new front runner there.
Wow, that was fast. I can't wait to see them try and catch that.
Yeah, I don't know that we have another horse that's got that same way of going here, but we definitely have some others with big heart, including Dekas, the Margie Engel ride for Gladewinds Partners LLC.
Well, Rene, you know, he's on a roll.
Well, we got Rene Dittmer coming in next here.
Oh, that was quick. Ow.
Rene Dittmer making his way around. We just got word that Margie Engel actually did scratch and didn't find out about that originally, but here they come down the final line.
What a great ride. Beautiful.
Wow. You said it was going to be hard to catch, and right away Rene did it.
It was amazing. What a great ride.
27:07 gets the new lead. Again, Margie Engel was qualified with Dekas. She chose not to come back in the jump off, and that note is coming into us here in the booth a little bit late. Nonetheless, she is going to be in the ribbons here tonight. She is guaranteed no worse than 9th place by making it into that jump off. Next to go and trying to catch 27:07, we've got Devin, Ryan, and Eddie Blue, LL Show Jumpers LLC entry. Kim, think about this. From the very beginning, no one has held the lead for more than one round.
Oh, that's crazy.
We had the 8 falters in the first 2 positions, one slightly faster than the previous. Then we went to a 4 falter to take over the top spot. Then a clear round, of course, automatically took over. Mark Blumen increased the pace to 27:36 to become the new leader immediately after that. And, of course, Rene Dittmer now in 27:07 is at the top. So we'll see whether or not that is just as short term a lead. Devin Ryan giving it a go.
Well, we know Eddie Blue is not the fastest on his feet, but such a big stride. Let's see where he can make up the time. Oh, he's doing great. Oh. Oh, what a shame. He was trying to put a little bend in that line to give himself more room.
Well, 27-34 with 4 faults means 4th place for Devin and Eddie Blue. So he'll go into 4th.
Great job. Oh.
German rider, again, René Dittmer leading the way, and we've got one more to go. And again, it's a rider who has been successful here in years past with MTM. Vive le rêve, it's Brian Mogre from the Lone Star State in Texas out of Flower Mound. Owner and rider along with Major Wager LLC. Trying to catch 27.07.
This is such a fun jump off.
Indeed it is. He got lucky there at number 15 a bit as the rail rocked on top of that Taylor Harris vertical.
A little wider there on that turn. Ooh, slice there.
Yeah, real slice at number 6, and that's been risky in the past rounds.
Let's see.
Oh, he'll get there in 28.38. We got to give him credit for a clear round, but unfortunately for Brian, it's not going to be the quickest. He'll go into 3rd place, so a podium position will be in his hands, but the pinnacle position will be held by René Dittmer and Corsica, the Live Oak Plantation entry. And, of course, he's coming off a hot streak at Washington last week there in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Starting off on a great note here in Lexington as we wrap up our first day of international competition here at the Longines FEI World Cup Jumping Lexington leg. And you can take a look at the standings right there. We finished up with a total of 4 penalty-free jump-off rides here this evening. And there you can see the top 12 rankings. René Dittmer, Mark Blumen, finishing in the 27-second range with René riding Corsica to the win. Mark taking 2nd aboard. Again, the compact but ready Ubeluk. Brian Mogre, the last one to go there in 28.38. Holding 3rd with MTM Vive le Rêve, and Jessica Mendoza will round out the double clears in 4th up on ICAP CLZ. Down through the list, fastest of the 4s was Devin Ryan, and his entry, of course, as he finished up there in a 4-fault effort aboard Eddie Blue. He'll be in 5th. Lurkin Gallagher 6th, Jad Dana 7th, Katie Dynan 8th. Margie Engel, of course, made it to 9th place by virtue of qualifying for the jump-off. And as we go through the list there, Jessica Lito, Daniel Blumen, and Andrew Borns rounding out the 10th, 11th, and 12th positions. And we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Max von Zimmerman for the presentation of our awards. And that'll be getting underway. Brian Lookabill and Kim Prince have been with you here on the broadcast, and it's been a pleasure to take you through the rounds. We'll be doing it again here tomorrow in the international classes, so we hope you'll join us once again for our broadcast from Lexington, Kentucky. But right now, stay on board for the presentation of awards.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's bring back your winner. What a fantastic ride. A couple wins last week in Washington and starting off the international competition here at the National Horse Show. From Germany, René Dittmer aboard the 10-year-old Holsteiner Corsica X. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'll ask you to please rise. And gentlemen, remove your caps as we honor tonight's champion with the playing of the German national anthem. Let's congratulate and bring him over to the red carpet, your champion, Corsica X and Renee Dittmer, riding the Extra Sex Agency's 10-year-old Holsteiner by Connor out of Corofino 2, Corsica X. Of course, North Star Sport Horses, a family-owned and operated business specializing in breeding, young horse development, and competition at the highest level of show jumping. In East Aurora, New York, and Wellington, Florida, proud sponsors of our $77,000 international welcome stake with your champion. Joining us with Bill Weeks and John Fry, Renee Dittmer, Corsica X. Renee, one more request from you, if you would. Let's lead them off in the victory ride this evening. .07, fault free in the jump off, your champion from Germany, Renee Dittmer, Corsica X. Colombian rider Mark Blumen in Ubeluk, and American rider Brian Mogray in MTM Viva la Red. A wonderful night of show jumping here at the 140th National Horse Show. Congratulations once again to Renee Dittmer as we look forward to Saturday evening's competition. Can he pull off 2 for 2, the welcome stake, and the Grand Prix? Will come on back and join us on Saturday night. Of course, join us here tomorrow for the speed competition. My name is Max von Zimmerman. From all of us here at the National Horse Show, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow.